Sure. Yeah, this is a very good point here. We're going to talk about. It's very, I think it's very critical for all parties involved in the transportation to have a clear understanding from the get-go whether a shipment, let's say that comes import into the United States, let's say is delivering to Kansas City door. It's very important to know in advance, to have an understanding with the receiver, with the warehouse, whether, they should know in advance, is the cargo palletized, how long does it take to unload, get an exact understanding of the weight, because, an excess weight on the, if the container turns out to be heavier than declared, there is a complication, there could be a complication in the transportation, especially if the truck has to go through a weigh station and if it gets pulled over for an inspection and if the weight is over what declared, then. So going back to terms here, yeah, as you say, the Tony, live unload is, I would say, is the most common term of transportation. The driver is waiting by the truck, and when the cargo is fully unloaded, then he backs out of the dock, he closes the container doors, and he returns the empty container unless there is a street turn. We could have a street turn for a live load, and we can also have a street turn for a drop and hook. A drop and hook, the driver drops a loaded container by the dock, and he picks up an empty a container that was previously dropped loaded and is now empty. So all empty containers picked up from a warehouse could qualify for a street turn if the street turn is approved by the steamship line. Street turn is basically could be the freight forwarder, also the trucking company. We can all request a street turn to the steamship lines, meaning we can reuse an import container for an export. So there is a procedure to get a street turn done. So basically, the steamship line is the final party in the process that approves the street turn, because sometimes
Luigi, I was just going to ask, what's the benefit of using a street turn?
Yeah, there are several benefits. Could be mostly it's like a green. Now we're trying to save to reduce pollution, and it also saves miles on the truck, because now let's say that there is no street turn and the driver unloads. Let's say the driver picks up an import container at CSX in Kansas City, and he delivers in Topeka. Now the driver, after the delivery in Topeka, has to come back empty to return the empty container to the depot. Instead, if the truck carrier or the steamship line or the freight, there are several platforms that they provide street turn solutions. If the container can become a street turn, now the driver doesn't need to drive all the way back with the empty container. He doesn't need to spend time to ingate the empty container. There is no lift involved in case the empty container needs to be taken off the chassis and stacked in the yard. The driver goes and reuses the same container for an export. It's a win-win situation for everybody involved in the transportation process, because it saves time, and also we know that there is a truck shortage. It's not the easiest thing to find a truck available. With a street turn, we enable a truck to become available the same day of the import unloaded. So it's pretty much a win-win situation in all aspects of the transportation.
Great, that was a great explanation.